In Deuteronomy, it reads that a person is a tree. Indeed, that is our mission as a human being, to be able to be a tree. Many of us may be aware that there is what's called the Jewish New Year's, that the Jewish New Year begins around September time. That is the Hebrew New Year. It is actually the 6th day of the anniversary of creation. When God created the world, on the 6th day He created man, and that is when the Jewish people celebrate what's known as Rosh Hashanah, the head of the year, because that is when life began. That's when God gave Adam the breath of life and created Adam and Eve, and humanity has begun. But there are also other New Years. One of the New Years is very interestingly is called the New Year's of the trees. And that's one day a year we celebrate the trees. And that is of the 15th day of the month of Shevat, which is around February. And we celebrate trees and we think about what it means to see a tree and what do we learn from it. The reason why that's the day of the New Year's for the trees, because that is when the trees begin to sprout. So the representation of trees and life and the metaphor is so beautiful. Please listen to the end so you would really appreciate the lesson we can learn from a tree. The tree represents the human being by its journey. When you think about how a tree begins, it all begins with a seed. When you take a seed, one single seed, you look at it, you hold it in your hand, and you see a beautiful creation, but it's just a seed. It really can't do anything by holding it in your hand. But yet, when you take this one single seed and you plant it in the ground, which means you're burying it, like Adam was taken from the ground, everything comes from the ground. You put the seed in the ground. What happens to this seed? It's not buried, but it's planted. This seed begins to germinate. It kind of falls apart in the ground. So at first you may think this is pretty cruel. You're taking a beautiful, healthy seed that you're holding in your hand, and now you're putting it in the ground, and you're watching it decay, and you're watching it germinate. But you realize you're not just burying. You are connecting the seed with the earth, where all life came from. God miraculously has given the energy in the earth to sprout out everything that we have. All living ultimately comes from the earth. So this seed is going to begin sapping its nutrients from the earth that it was just buried, which seems to be decimated and decayed, is actually germinating new life. With proper watering and with proper care, this seed will begin sprouting, and it will sprout into a plant. And with proper pruning and care, this plant will turn into a sapling of a tree. And as you keep on watering it, this tree will keep on growing. And as you care for it and you fertilize it, you water it, it will grow and taller. Eventually, this tree will start having branches. And eventually, these branches will start bearing fruit. And eventually, these fruit will be ripened. And in these fruit are many more seeds, which can be replanted and to create so much more fruit from that. Think about this amazing journey, how apropos this is an analogy for human life. Yes, we all start off from a seed. But in human life, we become a seed and we become into a person, a single person. But yet with the seed, it has the power to create a tree that creates multiple seeds in the future. The same thing is when the seed begins to germinate. We as parents need to be able to look at our children as we are nurturing a sprouting out beautiful plant and a tree. If you water it right and you fertilize it and you prune it, you would see this child grow up to be a beautiful human being who he himself will have his own branches, your tree of life. And this is why the Torah, the Bible, tells us that a person is like a tree, that we should always consider ourselves. There's only one reason why we're on this world. It's not just to exist, not just to take, but to give, to produce more branches, more fruits. Not just fruits, but fruits that can produce more seeds, that can produce more trees, more fruits for the world. That is the journey of life. Our existence on this world is to give and to be able to be fruitful and multiply, as first mentioned in the Bible. And this is why when we look at a tree, we look at this metaphor and you ask yourself the question, am I giving enough time and care for my children so that they could grow up a straight tree, a healthy tree? Are they getting ample water? Are they getting ample love? Are they getting a good education? Am I exposing them to the right amount of sun? Am I doing everything possible so the tree can grow up beautifully, so that the child can grow up beautifully? And realizing that yes, indeed, we are compared to the tree because a tree can stand tall and last hundreds of years because of the effort that you put in. There is a tale that talks about the date tree, that it takes 70 years for the tree to begin giving fruit. But yet you find people working hard to plant this tree, even though they are not going to live to see the fruits of their labor. But nonetheless, they know that by planting this tree, 70 years in the future, someone is going to enjoy it. That is a human being. That is why we exist and live. It's not about us, but it's about the world. It's about each one of us collectively to do what's best to help preserve this world from one generation to the next. So we should all do our part by planting our seeds, and not just planting them, but looking after them, caring for them with unconditional love and unconditional attention. And you too will be able to see your family tree grow and prosper so beautifully that your mission in life, you'll feel so completed and you'll feel so whole that you are truly an ambassador of God in making this world a better place. God bless you. God loves you.